Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another broadcast of The Weekly with me, Neff. Please subscribe to the channel and share this video with a couple of family members, friends, and colleagues. I appreciate the support. We had some interesting news here regarding the state of comic book character movies at this point in time. So more specifically, Marvel Studios, DC Studios. Interesting tidbit and stats here that we're going to read into. 2025 marks the first time since the year 2011 without a $700 million plus comic book movie hit in theaters. So I do think that I guess you could say superhero fatigue is real at this point in time. Studios are trying to figure out what's going to actually get people to get into theaters and get people excited to see these big films. Not only are the budgets still at about $200 to $250 million, but the audience is dwindling, and so something's going to have to change. They're going to have to figure out new ways to drum up excitement for these type of films. Obviously, the ensembles aren't working anymore, and at this point in time, both properties are in a position where they're trying to figure out what is going to work. Is it going to be the ensemble picture with characters that are notable? Is it going to be more obscure characters that have good written stories and good competent directors behind them? Who really knows at this point in time? I think really that superhero movies are pretty much like the movies of the 80s, the action movies that is, where they had a huge crescendo, they had their climax, and then they dropped down for about 15 to 20 years, and then they kind of had a resurgence as of, I'd say, the last 10 to 15 years. But people have to remember that action movies didn't do well for a while, and I think it's the same thing for comic book character movies at this point in time. It's just the cycle of things. So let's read into this news. There was a time when Marvel could do no wrong at the box office. Every release seemed destined for a massive haul. Even the Zack Snyder-led DC Universe managed to share of billion-dollar juggernauts. The era is gone. Troubling signs are pointing towards the tide clearly turning. The phrase superhero fatigue has become the default explanation among box office analysts, shorthand for the lack of audience excitement around the genre. It's been repeated endlessly in the post-pandemic landscape, and for good reason. Now the phrase feels more relevant than ever. The streak is broken for the first time in 14 years, and not counting 2020, where most theaters obligatorily shut down, the comic book movie machine has slowed down in a firm and meaningful way. 2025 is the first year since 2011 in which not a single superhero blockbuster crossed the $700 million mark globally. Captain America Brave New World made $415 million, Thunderbolts $382 million, and Fantastic Four is currently sitting at $490.5 million. Superman is at $600 million, and all failed to get to that $700 million mark. The numbers are starting to put everything into perspective. For over a decade, Marvel and DC projects practically guaranteed sky-high grosses. Even when warning signs emerged in the early 2020s, titles like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which made $955 million, and The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 made $845 million, still leapt past the mark with ease. Not anymore. Whether it's Marvel or DC, the results simply aren't adding up. The long-predicted superhero bubble looks to finally be shrinking. Crowds that once rushed to every Cape-led event are now finding it harder to be lured in, especially on the international side. Of course, the spin machines are working overtime. James Gunn and Warner Brothers have insisted Superman was a major hit, while DC CEO Bob Iger called Thunderbolts a success just days into its run. However, the bottom line remains. None of these films reached the $700 million benchmark. What happens next is anyone's guess. Maybe the genre rebounds in 2026, or maybe the slide continues. All eyes will be on Marvel's costly Avengers Doomsday and DC's next chapter, Supergirl. And actually, before Doomsday, we're going to say Spider-Man Brand New Day. The safest bet may be Sony's Spider-Man Brand New Day, even though the web-slinger could be facing audience fatigue. And I don't think Spider-Man's going to really be facing audience fatigue. I think the approach to this film is going to be great. Probably one of the better Spider-Man films that we have seen. And I think the ensemble of characters in this Spider-Man project in particular is going to drum up a lot of interest. And then, of course, they're going to arbitrage that into Avengers Doomsday. And so I think Marvel is going to have a decent year when it comes to these type of characters next year. Better than this year. And Fantastic Four is a solid flick. Obviously, still needs about $500 million to hit that break-even point. We're at $490.5. It's towards the end of its theatrical run. But, I thought the film would do a little better. But I can understand what's going on with the film, right? Pretty much obscure characters at this point in time. It's the best Fantastic Four film, but when superhero fatigue has taken effect and Marvel has been looked at as a film studio that's not putting out good product for at least the last 5 to 6 years, you kind of lose the audience at that point in time. They just don't trust the product, and so I think Fantastic Four suffered from that. If you'd have put Fantastic Four out in sometime probably between 2017 and 2019, the film probably would have grossed $800 to $1 billion. It is a good flick, and I do think it deserves more than $500 million, but that is just the state that we're in. As far as Avengers Doomsday, we already know they don't have a script at this point in time, right? A lot of stuff going on back and forth, a lot of moving parts. I think that film is going to be a lot tougher to get people to believe in than Spider-Man Brand New Day. I do think as far as Marvel Studios goes, Spider-Man and Avengers are the only two names and properties that they have slam dunks with at this point in time. But with Doomsday, we're just going to have to see. Are people going to believe and buy into Robert Downey Jr. now being Dr. Doom? Are they going to be able to separate him from Iron Man to Doctor Doom? I think that's going to be very interesting and a test in itself. And as far as DC Studios goes, James Gunn rebooting it, had a decent start with Superman. It's not a hit, as they like to claim at Warner Brothers, but a decent start. Supergirl is going to be the real test. And actually, the thing that I'm most excited for is going to be Lanterns, which is going to be premiering either, I think, well, I'm not going to say fall. I'm going to say this winter. So to me, that's the most exciting piece of content that's going to be coming out of Warner Brothers at this point in time. I know Peacemaker 2 is running right now, but that season just started. But Lanterns, definitely at the top of the heap for me. And Supergirl is going to be a curiosity film. What do I expect from this? Not much. What I want to be looking at is how it's going to perform, not only domestically, but worldwide. Superhero fatigue is a real thing. These guys like to try to pick apart women leads in films. Don't know why, don't really care for that. If the film's good, it is good, but definitely going to be a curiosity flick for me. And these are all films that I'm going to be watching in theaters. So ladies and gents, let me know what you think about this news. Do you think superhero fatigue is real? I definitely think it's real. I've been talking about it for quite a while now, but I want to hear your thoughts on it. Please comment down below. Like this video, share this video if you are watching it. Try to get some friends, family, and colleagues to subscribe to the channel. It helps out going through some YouTube copyright strike nonsense at this point in time. So every bit of, passing the word and spreading the word helps out a bunch, and I appreciate that support. Ladies and gents, be safe. It's Neff signing off.